Ready?
Hi, welcome to the Special K podcast. My name is Jules and this is Kristy Graham Kumabe. Girl, you're looking brown. Have you been
really?
tanning?
Nope.
Yeah, you look really brown. Like nice brown. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous.
I mean, walking outside.
Okay, yeah. Maybe that's what I need to do a bit more of.
It's what you all need to do.
I just got
Walk
off.
outside.
I just got off the just quickly on my before I left home. My partner was on the phone to his mum and dad in New Zealand, and they haven't seen me. Well, they don't really see me properly because it's just on the screen.
Yeah.
And I stood up from the chair because I'm halfway, and I went like, I'm doing this, and my partner Mark's got a big gut on him as well too. So we're doing this. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Jules, you're huge," and I was like. You don't say that to a pregnant woman. I'm like, of course I was like, I should be. I'm bloody halfway and I'm bloody eating 24/7. I'm not expecting to remain thin. Anyway, that's what I'm dealing with. But we got off the phone and my mum and my partner's like, "It's okay, babe. She has no filter." I was like, it's okay. No, I really,
that's so funny.
I was like,
you can only say that to a bodybuilder. You're huge.
you're
You're like,
huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
No, I'm like, I take no offense to it at all. I'm like, yeah,
Well,
I should
that's the point. You're supposed to be bigger than I was before.
Yeah. But anyway, everything's
Looks
getting
so
big.
good.
Now, I feel good, and that's all that freaking matters because freaking hell, I was sick at the start. But we are going to be talking about injuries in this episode. Now, obviously, it's more than just physical. This is, I think, dealing with injury is so mentally and emotionally challenging. So we're going to talk about that and how, you have been able to get through that as well too. But because I know that a couple of your friends, get injured as well too. And
Yeah, well, I mean, we do in all aspects of life, right?
Yeah.
Just picking up a fork out of the dishwasher, you can do your back in.
well, yeah.
It usually happens.
Touch wood.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
But it usually happens doing something so minor. You can, injuries happen all the time. They're accidents.
Yeah. Actually, one of my girlfriends pulled her back out doing a poo.
Like,
Literally.
must have been a big poo.
Yeah, that's what we all said. Anyway, sorry. I had to interrupt that.
You're always bringing up poos.
I know. I apologise.
You've got a poo fetish.
At the end of the year, I'm just going to I'm going to mark everywhere where I've said poo and then make a compilation.
Poo.
That's a little bit. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting us off track.
Be careful while doing poos.
Yeah.
Look, I think, most of the time injuries are accidents. Obviously, you don't purposely try and get injured, whether it be at home or whatever it may be, but injuries do happen. And a lot of, we'll start with as an athlete, but I think it goes into general life too. Like my hubby's hurt his back numerous times and it just affects everything. And I think with most of us, it's not so much, like you said, the physical pain, it's the frustration of not being able to live your life the normal way that you live your life on a day-to-day basis, do normal things because you are injured in somewhat way. Yeah. I mean, how annoying is a paper cut?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it can be something so minor. Or if you stub your toe.
I was going to say more like little
things,
fingers or little toes.
Like how much does it sting in the shower if you've grazed your knee or, and it's frustrating, and it's not so much the pain, and I use little examples like that to prove it's not so much the pain, but it's the frustration of things that come around, you know. So if you've got a graze on your knee and you put tights on and then you sweat and then the graze sticks to the tight, and then when you take your tights off, it
rips the scab off and then you're bleeding and then you've got to start the process of healing all over again.
Or, you've got a graze on your knee, so you go to kneel down and then you're like, you forget that, so it can be little or major. So I thought of injury because this month, by the time this episode is released, it'll be March, I think. Yeah. And in March, it'll be 2 years since I had shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
So I ripped my shoulder.
I was going to say,
shreds.
let's actually go back to like what actually happened with your shoulder.
It was an injury in the gym. Yeah, training.
Okay. Was it something that happened progressively, or was it like
I think first off, it's like shoulders are they're one that is often progressive overuse because it's a very, very intricate area.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on in there, muscles, tendons, joints, everything. And it is a bit of a delicate one as well. So injury of the shoulder, but often or not, it's in older people. So it's a over time overuse thing. You know? So shoulder surgery or an athlete that has done something.
Yeah.
So mine was a little bit of overuse over time. But essentially I was training in the gym and lifting and gone. So I felt it. I felt it straight away. So I was actually doing heavy side raises at the time.
Yeah.
And on the way up, I felt it through the dumbbell, like I felt it go.
Yeah.
I personally have a really high pain threshold.
Yeah.
So I kept training on a torn shoulder. But that's one thing I wanted to talk. But that's one thing I want to talk about too, is like, you know, learning to feel your body. And as a top end athlete, like we push our bodies so hard. And I think I talked about that I shut off to push my body to that level. I shut off the sensories in my body so that I can, right? I shut off pain. I shut off the emotion attached to my body so that I can push beyond. But the downside of that is, are you going to feel something if something's building up until it's too late? Yeah. So that's a lesson that comes from injury, is reconnecting to your body and feeling it and listening to signs that your body's giving you, which I think a lot of people, and it comes down to coaching style, training style, and everything as well, like the directives that you're under and the directives you give yourself as well. But listening to your body, because most of the time it could be prevented. Yeah. So could this be prevented? Yeah, maybe. Like there's definitely lessons that I learned around the way of training. But different muscle groups, different whatever. You know. So have I ever done that heavy side raises ever again? No. No, absolutely not. No, and I would never be pushed to do so. I'd turn around and say, no way. Lesson learned. And form is another one too. So like training in the gym, see it so often, bad form. And I'm like, injury gonna happen? Yep, injury happened.
Also, can I just say, for any PTs out there, if a client comes to you and they want to learn, you know, your form of lifting and things like that, and if you don't know, don't fucking say you do. And then just because you want money from them. It is like, I've had two trainers, like, and this is like prior to like, you know, 3 or 4 years ago. Who have said to me, because I wanted to learn, you know, the forms of like, you know, of that structured lifting. And they both have gone, and then within a couple of weeks, I'm just like, and of course I didn't know what I was doing at the time, so I'm just listening to and trusting what they're telling me. But looking back now, after being taught properly, I'm like, I'm really annoyed. Like I'm such a waste of money. And looking back at videos, I could have severely injured myself. You know, by the incorrect lifting. So
you'll see a lot of the really top coaches, you know, PTs as well, coaches, they are constantly educating themselves. Like, you know, the science around the body, the science around lifting, the science around bodybuilding, powerlifting, any sort of sport that's doing with the gym, but any sport, like any sport at all, or anything that uses your body above and beyond what it is supposed to be doing. You know, you need to be doing it the right way. But you will see that a lot of PTs and coaches that are very, very good, they are constantly re-educating and leveling themselves up. And you know what? Most of the ones at that high end, they are absolutely not backward in coming forward and saying, I don't know. They don't have an ego about it. They are not afraid to say, you know what? I definitely aren't afraid. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
You know, because
yeah.
they're sponges for education, knowledge, and imparting, sharing that knowledge onto others.
Yeah.
So injuries happen. They do happen. You know, sometimes it's just complete accidents. Sometimes, yes, could be avoided. Sometimes not. But the worst side of it is, one, you have to heal.
Yeah.
From the injury, the physical, you know.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah. So once that the diagnosis has happened of like what's actually
Mm-hmm.
happened, it's then okay. How does
this recovery going to look? Like, what do I need to do? You know, is it just time? Is it rehab? Is it surgery? Is it whatever it may be? And so I use the example of my shoulder because I knew I'd injured it. But my pain threshold was very high. So at that time, we were like, oh, it'll be right. Now looking back, learning what I've learned and going what I've been, no, go and get the freaking scan straight away, because you don't know what's going inside a body.
Yeah.
You do not have X-ray or ultrasound vision. You know, you can't see. You don't know someone's body better than they know themselves, or exactly. the X-ray machine or the ultrasound machine or whatever, you know, whatever way they do to test to see what the injury, MRI, whatever is needed. You don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know what you should and shouldn't be doing until you know what the problem is. Same with any health issue, right? You might have a health issue and you're still eating chicken and broccoli, but broccoli is making it worse.
Exactly.
You think you're doing the right thing, but you're actually doing the very wrong thing. So, and that's something that I have definitely learned the hard way is, and I'm still trying to get my mindset around it, is find out first. If you have a niggle, if you have something going on, be proactive, be preventative, rather than have something else further go wrong and then you need to be reactive. And reactive.
Especially when that niggle happens and you just keep pushing through it, and then it, boom, snaps, whatever happens. And then you're in a far worse. You could have just had 2 days rest and now you've got bloody 2 months rest because you can't do anything with it.
So with my shoulder, eventually went and got scanned and it was torn to shreds. And the doctor said to me at the time, he's like, so you definitely going to need surgery. Like this is not going to heal by itself, no matter what you do.
That when the doctor said that to you though, like
I was like, okay, right. And I cried. Like I was like, fuck. Like,
because with surgery, the recovery
is
means not in the gym.
So straight away then I was like, once again, this is not physical, this is mental. What am I going to do? Like, how am I going to deal with this? And the doctor at the time, he's actually a really nice guy. He was like, have you thought about, going on speaking circuits and sharing your experience, whatever? I was like, why? He's like, well, I don't see you getting back on stage. And him saying that, I was like, whoa, hang on a second. And straight away I was like, no, I ain't done. Like,
I've got Olympia to win. What are you talking about?
I'm only just getting started. Like, I'm not even halfway there. And he's like, but you're in a sport where you need to lift heavy. This could take 12 months for you to overhead press again. This could take, after. And I was like, no, there's got to be a way. And I started researching. I started reaching out to professionals and this and that. Obviously, I went to see the surgeon. We booked in for surgery because it was bad enough. I went private, so I got in and got the surgery straight away. But this is where the mental game of injury comes in, whether it's small or big, and turning, like I feel like every injury is an opportunity to work on an area of life or a body part that you wouldn't elsewise have the time or energy to work on if you were not injured.
Look at you turning such a negative into a positive.
So, but it's true. And so from comp, and this took time. Like, this was not just an overnight spin around in my head. It took time. I did cry. I did process it. It was frustrating. I was upset. But then I was like, no, I'm not done. So if I'm not done, you need to get your head out of your ass and turn this around.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to optimize on this fucked situation?
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be in a sling for 6 weeks. I'm going to lose my upper body.
Yeah.
I know I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to work so hard on
Getting
being
it back.
able to lift my arm above my head, let alone being able to press and rebuild the muscle that I lost, plus put on an extra 10 kilos of muscle that I need to go to where I need to go.
Yeah.
So I did, and in the gym, people would come up to me and go, oh my gosh, like, I've heard that you need surgery on your shoulder. Like, what are you going to do? Like, this is like, you're going to still compete? Or like, straight away, people go to the negative.
Yeah.
And I think that's a natural thing, sort of, because people think of the worst.
Yeah.
And to start off with, I was like, oh yeah, like, I've got to have surgery, like, and then rehab. I think I'm going to be in a sling for 6 weeks, and then I don't really know.
Yeah.
You know, that was my first.
Yeah.
And then after I was like, nah, this has got to change, because I'm starting to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I changed it to, all right, how am I going to optimize on this situation? One, I'm going to train my legs.
Yeah.
Every single day.
I'll work on something that I can do.
Correct.
Yeah.
And guess what? If I hadn't have injured my shoulder, I would not have the legs that I have today.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
And I've built my legs so much over the last 2 years, more than I probably could have ever done. Why? Because I couldn't use my upper body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And legs are hard to build. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to blow my legs up.
Yeah.
And then I'll catch up the upper body after.
Yeah.
You know, so that was one thing. And then people were like, oh, like, what about the surgery, like the recovery, the rehab? And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to get anal and obsessed, because I love being obsessed with something.
Yeah. We can tell.
No. I'm going to be obsessed with my rehab.
Yeah.
I am going to make it my bitch.
Yeah.
So every day after surgery, I was like, boom, boom, boom. But going into surgery, even that, people were like, oh, like, you know, what are you going to do? Like, and so I said, all right, I'm going to change the way that I respond, because obviously I was getting asked numerous times a day, and that plays on your head, doesn't it? Like people's energy, words, everything definitely play on you. So I was like, I've got to spin this. And I explain it now to people like, if you meet a compulsive liar, right, and they lie and lie and lie, do they believe their own lies, or do they realize they're lying?
Yeah, no, they believe their own lies.
They believe their own lies, right?
Yeah.
Because they're a compulsive liar.
Yeah.
So if you say something enough, even if it's not true, you will believe it.
It's the same as, that's why they say self-talk is really important as well.
It's so important. And this was a game changer. And this is why I talk about self-talk so much, and how important your energy and your words are and your actions, not only to others, but yourself. This is taught, this is a lesson I learned, and I put it into action. I learned from it, from injury. So, well before surgery, people would come up to me and say, oh, like, you've got surgery, like, how long are you going to be out for? Like, you know, like, what do you think about your surgery? And I said, you know what? I'm fucking excited.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
I'm staying awake for it. I'm going to watch it happen.
I'm so excited about the surgery.
Yeah.
Because guess what? My shoulder's fucked.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a new fucking shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting a brand new shoulder. It's going to be so strong.
Yeah.
There's no niggles. There's no injuries in it, whatever. I've just got to get it moving. I've got the easy part. They're going to fix it. I'm going to move it.
Yeah.
I am so excited, and it's going to be even bigger, better, whatever, and then the other shoulder. Now freaking is, so now I've got to work on the other one. But that's the self-talk. And I turned around, and do you really think I was excited about it? No. About going into major surgery? Fuck no. I wasn't.
But you convinced yourself that
I convinced myself that I was.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And by the time I went to surgery, I remember that day the surgeon coming in, and I was in the hospital. He's like, how you feeling? I was like, get me in there.
Let's go.
And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Fix my shoulder. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I just want to get stuck into this rehab. And he's like, okay.
Just keep me alive. Get it fixed.
He's like, all right, let's get this shoulder fixed. I said, you're giving me a brand new shoulder.
Yeah.
So thank you. Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah.
And like when they first started asking me, I was like, yeah, I'm excited. Fucking not. You know, but the more I said it over and over and over, by the time I hit that surgery bed and I was in that gown, I was excited.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, bring this on.
Yeah.
Get me this new shoulder and then I can get stuck in.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And do you
know?
think having a plan as well too, like being really planned about your recovery and like after surgery helped as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just going, I'm going to
Like you-
optimize on
yeah.
it. Like I'm going to be anal and obsessive and whatever about my rehab. And I'm just going to blow up my legs.
Yeah, yeah.
As soon as I can move,
Yeah.
I'm just going to train legs every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, they were sore.
Yeah.
But I optimized it. And I actually seen something on Instagram. One of the big coaches out of America did talk about this. And he said the exact same thing. He said, injury is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to work on something and not just a body part. Like I chose a body part, but it gives you the opportunity to sit back and work on an area of life that you wouldn't elsewise have that time or energy to work on. Whether it be business, whether it be finance, whether it be relationships, whether it be spending time with your kids, whether it be spending time with friends, rebuilding, whatever it may be. You know, cleaning out your cupboard.
Yeah.
You know, and things that, you know, cleaning the grout in the bathrooms, whatever it may be, you wouldn't elsewise prioritize those things, but they're things that you want to do or have sitting in the back. So I always say, like, as soon as you can, if you can't do it yourself, then reach out to someone who can help you. Try and flip that. Like I know I have quite a few people, clients and not clients as well, just people that follow me online that do message me and go, I'm in this situation, I just can't flip it. Like how would you flip this?
How do you flip it? Yeah.
And you know, from the outside, it's actually a lot easier.
Yeah, when you're not dealing with
hey,
it. Yeah.
Girl, like you've got this and this, and you could do this, you could do this. Like, what about that? Like, and they're like, oh, okay, cool, all right. And it's not an overnight fix. Like the mental side of it is really, really hard because you see it as a setback. But if you let it be a setback, it will be a setback.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you see it as an opportunity, it will be an opportunity.
You know, I'm like, just while you're talking about what you do, I'm like, you know, in times when I've injured myself or whatever, the first thing I do is go, like, to make it better. Like, say, for example, if I did that with my shoulder, I'd be like, oh, it could be worse. I could have lost my whole arm. You know, and I will go to the extremes of like, well, my arm could have fell off, but it's still there and it's fixable. Like, you know, and that's how I will generally flip a bad situation. And it doesn't have to be an injury. It can be anything. I'll go. It's
gratitude.
Yeah, that's the same. It's pretty much the same thing of going, oh, well, you know, it could be worse. I still have this and I still have that. And, you know,
and I think that definitely plays a role, like that gratitude and seeing the blessing of what you do have.
Yes.
And sometimes when you lose something, someone even, you don't know what it's got till it's gone.
Absolutely,
Right?
Yeah.
You don't realize how important something is till it's gone. You don't realize how much you rely on something or someone until they're gone.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much you know, love something or someone until they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, and I think injury is something most of the time, sometimes, yes, severe injuries you can't come back from, but most of the time, an injury that you come back from, it's a lesson.
Yeah.
It's a reminder.
Yeah.
It's something, you know. So I had my shoulder surgery and I got an infection on the inside from one of the internal stitches.
Right.
And I don't think I've even talked about this on socials
No, I
much.
don't think I knew about
So,
this.
and I'm very hard stomached. Like we've talked about, we grew up on the farms.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We've seen a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
doesn't matter how gross or painful or whatever, I can stomach pretty much anything. Anyway, so the shoulder got quite red and warm, and I was like, something's not right here. And I got one of our mutual friends, who's a nurse actually, to look at it, and she's like, oh, yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah, maybe get it checked. It's quite warm.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went and got it checked, and they're like, oh, no, it might be okay, whatever. Anyway, and then it was a Friday night. I said to my husband, I was like, I just don't feel good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go to bed. I think I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was, you know, only 3.5, 4 weeks post-op. So
Yeah, okay.
I was starting to come good, but whatever. Anyway, I felt off. Anyway, when I woke up in the morning, hubby had already gone to the market, so I had 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't feel good. I can't see anything.
Yeah.
Like my temperature is up. I was sweating.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, something's
Something's
up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I shoved the kids in the car and I went to the 24-hour doctor's up here. Anyway, so he's like, you need to go straight to emergency. Like
Shit.
it's infected, straight to emergency. I was like, okay, right. And he's like, how did you get here? I'm like, I drove. He goes, can you see properly? I'm like, nope.
Oh my God, you got the 3 kids
Like,
as
but
well.
I knew I was in trouble. Like I
Yeah,
could just feel it.
yeah.
Anyway, so they actually took us to hospital.
Yeah.
And they almost put me straight through
Yeah.
into emergency. Straight to emergency. I was in there for 3 nights.
Yeah.
Straight on IV and like just constant run of IV antibiotics to try and bring it down.
Yeah.
But this is another lesson of listening to your body and the pain threshold. So I was in overnight and they'd come in and like, how's the pain? I'm like, yeah, it's okay. And they're like, a scale of 1 to 10. I'm like, oh, I don't know, 2.
I don't know what pain is.
I'm like 2, 3.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Anyway, on the first night, I was like, yeah, maybe 2, 3, whatever. Anyway, that first night, until the antibiotics kick in, it just gets worse and worse, right?
Yeah.
And I think I woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I was like, I think I'm dying. Like, what is wrong with me? And I hit the emergency, but I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
And I'd gone from 0 to unhandled. Like, the pain threshold's so high. Anyway, so I called them in. They straight away, a lot of pain relief, whatever. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm in so much pain. Like, I don't know what just happened. I just woke up and it just hit me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the surgeon came around the next morning. Doctors came around. Anyway, they booked me in for it to have a washout, which is they reopen and wash it out.
Yep.
Anyway, so
Sorry,
I was like, no, this can't happen. I'm going to have more scarring. I'm going to have like
more recovery time. Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, I'm in there and I'm like, nah, this can't happen. Anyway, one of the surgeon's off-siders came in and said, like, if the washout doesn't work, it can go septic and you can lose your arm. And I was like...
What I'm saying is like, oh, they're the worst thing, you know. You're like, shit, this is going to be the worst thing to happen.
Yeah. Like, you're talking to someone who, like, I plan a career on this.
Yes.
Like, anyway, so I was like, no, this can't happen. And I literally just went, no, I'm going to fucking heal.
Yeah.
I have to heal.
Yeah,
I have to fix this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was in hospital. They did IV antibiotics. Anyway, it started coming dead. It cleared out. So I didn't even have to go in for the washout, whatever.
Thank goodness.
But that whole experience, far out, did that make me grateful.
Yeah.
And like just so the feeling of being blessed to have an able body, all my limbs, and to be able to do what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
how can I complain?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to have an able body, like to have all my limbs, everything working.
Yeah.
They fixed my shoulder. It's now stronger and more secure than the other one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, So I think injuries are a wake-up call,
Yeah.
are a blessing in disguise, are a lesson, are a reminder to look after your body, to listen to your body, to take precautions, be preventative. Be proactive.
Yeah.
And that's
Before it's too late.
Before it's too late.
Yeah.
Like, so same with the infection. I'd known days before. I was like, oh, is it? Isn't it? Is it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't
When
it?
you should have just went.
I should have just gone and checked.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they would have gone, yep, it looks like it's getting infected.
Yeah.
Antibiotics, boom,
Yeah,
done.
and it
No
would've been.
hospital, no scare, no
Going
whatever.
through
But you know
pain.
what? Would I have learnt the lessons that I learnt if it wasn't that extreme?
Yeah.
I'm an extremist. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Everything's extreme.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely gives you an insight and shows you the opportunity that comes on the other side and makes you grateful for what you have. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, the recovery time, did it stay the same even with that little hiccup?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think I may have lost a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But in the scheme of things, so that was 2 years ago at the end of March.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really that was only 2 years ago. In the time after that, I've had heaps of help. Like I used so many professionals to help with my recovery. And that's something that I always say, don't just have one person, one professional. Have a team.
Yeah.
You know, a professional knows a lot in a little area.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So if you have one professional, you are limiting yourself to knowledge, education, and experience in one small area. Have an abundance of professionals, an abundance of professional knowledge in lots of small areas and bring that together. And that's how you level up. So I reached out to numerous professionals, like, how can I do this? How can I optimize this? How can I get this done faster? What can I do to support my body? What can I, everything on a physical, mental, supplementation, mindset, everything. And that's how I have my team now. That's come from that. So, and I'm not scared to branch out and go, there's not enough knowledge here, so let's find it. Not enough knowledge, like even in my team, I don't have enough knowledge in this area. Who can I grab? And don't be afraid, like, I don't have all the knowledge.
Well, exactly, right?
Like
well,
we were saying
of
about PT, if you don't know something, admit it. Because admitting it and owning it is the only way you're going to level up and learn.
Absolutely. I totally get that.
Wow. So the recovery was hectic too, and I think with anything, like I always talk about progress, and we talk about a lot with bodybuilding because you have to progress in some sort of way to build muscle, right? You have to progress in some sort of way, the opposite to lose body fat. And I think it's with anything in life, whether it be any sort of injury or something, as long as you see some sort of progress, even mental health, right? Some sort of progress in the right direction, you can grasp onto that and you can keep going. Even if it's the smallest, as long as there's some sort of progress in the right direction. And I talk about even with mental health because that relates to injury as well. The mental health, it's hard. You see a lot of athletes retire after injury because of the injury. Yes, sometimes it's an injury that completely affects what they were doing, but other times, and a lot of athletes, there's a lot of actually mental health forums, athletes, and I'll try and attach some to that athletes can look at, and it talks about getting through the mental health of injury and whatever, and that it doesn't have to end your career. But a lot of athletes openly say, I just couldn't hack it. I couldn't get through it. Like it's so hard. And injury ends their career. But as long as you see some sort of progress in some area, you can grasp onto that and keep moving forward. So with my rehab, some of it was slow. Like being able to lift your arm. Like I would stand in the mirror, I'm like, is it more? Is it more? And then I would film it and I would compare, like our progress photos with week to week in prep for comp. I was doing the same with a broomstick, trying to push my arm up and see if I could get it higher. And if I got it higher, I was like, it's going. All right, I keep going because I'm getting there. I'm getting there, So it's that, progress in any which direction, whether it be physical or mental.
Gosh, I wish I knew about this whole bloody, switching off that, or, built my brain to switch off the pain, especially now with the baby coming. I could really use that actually. But I remember when I got a knee reconstruction when I was 18, and the day after surgery, they made me get up, and that was excruciating.
Knees are painful because they calcify and they.
Oh my gosh, the pressure that I felt, and not that because I wasn't standing on it, because I'd fractured, got a spiral fracture as well. But it was the next day I needed to go to the toilet, and I thought they were just going to slip a little bedpan underneath me like they had been doing for 2 days. And they were like, no, you can go, and I was like, I was like, I'll just hold it. They were like,
for the next few days,
and they were like, no, you're getting up, and so I can, and I wasn't an athlete, you know what I mean? It was just like I could have very easily just not got up and just and just gone, no, I'm not gonna deal with it. But I'm really glad I did, and I stayed with rehab as well too, and made sure that I didn't skip anything. And I think
that's one thing that people do get complacent with, especially after they see a little bit of progress. They stop the rehab. Early. There's something that I didn't stop, but I even continue it now. I'm doing yoga every single week, and that is to get more mobility, more stability through my joints. You know, I'm constantly trying to level that up. But the rehab, you know, it's monotonous, right? It's so freaking boring, and you're just doing the same thing over and over and again. But simple is best, and in any job, you are doing the same thing over and over again to be successful. Right?
Yeah.
Same as me getting to stage in better condition as a better physique every single time. Guess what I'm doing? I'm doing pretty much the same movements every single Monday all year round. You know. And so when you think about it like that, you get up every morning, you brush your teeth, and you have your breakfast every single day, all year round. You know, it's the consistency of doing something that makes the progress. But I think when it's so monotonous and it's painful as well, like rehab is painful.
This is where, like, you know, with what you do, obviously the art of discipline really plays a key role, even in recovery. The discipline in staying, you know, going through those painful rehabilitation things of, you know, not just dealing with the pain, but the monotonous of it is like, discipline plays a huge part of that. I think it's getting out of the mindset that just enough is good enough. It's not good enough. If you want to go somewhere with something, just enough is not good enough in any aspect. And that's what I took on with the rehab as well. Like, just enough is not good enough. It has to be better. Like, I promised myself I was going to get a new shoulder, bigger, better, and stronger. So just enough is not good enough. It has to be well beyond where even the doctors, the surgeons, or whatever expected me to be. So that was my goal. And it's monotonous. It's painful. But it's worth it.
But it's
freaking worth it.
It's worth it. So injury is definitely a hard one, mental and physical. But it's definitely
But it doesn't have to be. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be.
It's hard, but you can definitely work through it. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. That was awesome. I feel like, you know, even if you are not an athlete, even if it, you know, you could take that whole, you know, whatever with the diagram. You can take what, you know, that plan and put that into any aspect of your life, whether it be work, relationship, whatever. You know,
and that's why, that's what the podcast is all about, isn't it? Like, you know, it's we're using me and my bodybuilding career and that as a baseline, but bringing it in and showing how it relates to
everyday life.
Really. And that's what we sort of want to show. But it's true, and in any profession, the lessons you learn from your profession or your job or whatever it is, you end up taking it to other areas of life. Like, I know a lot of what I've learned through my bodybuilding, I'm bringing it home and putting it into action, how I parent my kids, you know? So injury is a huge one. There's so much to learn from it. So
take a negative into a positive.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I'm not saying that's why I keep saying it's not an overnight, you know, flick, I'm good now. It's not, it's work through it. But I love, and I'm pretty passionate about flicking it. We talk about that a lot, didn't we? Flick it. Flick it over. So bring them at me too. Like, I'd love to, like, if someone's struggling or whatever.
Reach out. Not to me, but to Kristy, because I'll be just like, oh, well, you haven't lost an arm, so you'll be fine.
You'll be sweet.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for opening up and sharing that experience with us. Hope you got a lot from it. We'll catch you next time. Mwah! Love you.
Ready?